And if you can manage it, you can improve it. And improving our performance in email marketing is very, very important. In any type of marketing, obviously. If you're not improving, you suck. No. If it gets measured, it gets managed, and if it gets managed, it can be improved. So when we're doing our email marketing, what we want to do is we want to know what to measure and what to improve on. The thing is, you won't know if things are going well because you have no frame of reference. So you have to benchmark against things, and you have to benchmark against yourself, your own performance, right? So in this video, we're going to talk about email sales funnel metrics, and I'm going to explain what it does for you, what type of insights you can derive from it. All that starts now on the Dropkick Copy YouTube channel. When you measure things in your email marketing, you can obviously derive insights, and those insights can allow you to improve certain areas. I've broken it down into 5 areas of improvement that you can hope to achieve by doing this. You can improve your overall list reliability, the list hygiene. Have you got a good list? You need to know that. You can improve the way you're targeting people, how engaged they are. You can improve how you qualify them. The lead qualification process matters. You can improve the type of offer you present to those leads that you've qualified. You can also improve retention and advocacy. So you can get second and third purchases. You can get people to speak positively about you. All of this matters. And it can be done, but only if you look for the right signals. So let's talk about what these signals are. So let's start with list hygiene and list reliability. The thing is, you got to remember that your list is an ever-changing thing. You're hopefully adding new people to your list, right? So are they affecting the quality of your list? You got to know that. You got to constantly monitor that. List reliability metrics, if they're good, they impact your deliverability well. Email deliverability it's all signals. So these inboxes are looking to see how your emails are being received. If you've got a list that's not clean, you've got emails that are bouncing, it's going to send a signal to the inbox provider that you're just spamming people. People are not responding, and you maybe bought this email list from somewhere, and you're just sending out emails, right? So you don't want to do that. You want to do the opposite of that. You want to give every possible indication to Gmail and Yahoo and Outlook that people are loving your emails, right? So let's break this down a little bit. Follow along with me, right? First of all, you want to know how many subscribers you have, obviously, right? How many people do you have? The thing to remember is, before you start trying to do any funky tactics and strategies, you want to have a sizable enough list. Start with 1,000. When you've got about 1,000 or above, you can start doing interesting things. Why is that? Well, you can create well-sized segments. A good size segment is 200 to 300 people, let's say. So a basic 1,000 subscriber list with about 5 segments of 200 people is very nice. It's nice to test things out with, right? So start from there, right? That's a little metric you want to look into, right? What that feeds into is then you can also monitor changes in your subscriber count. Is your subscriber count just shooting through the roof for some reason? That means you're doing something right. Some campaign is working. Is it dipping? Why is it dipping, right? Maybe something's not working. You get it? Well, it could also change on a segment level. Is this segment increasing rapidly over this segment? Why is that? Maybe you're producing content that's resonating with this audience somewhere, and they're getting funneled into your list. Or maybe you don't have enough of this segment. You don't have enough doctors on your segment. You have nurses. You know what I mean? So how can you improve that, right? So this type of metric sends a signal to you on what you should act on, right? So that's the insight, right? So keep that in mind. The other thing is bounce rates. Keep your bounce rates under 2%. Just generally, you don't want to have people on your list where your emails are bouncing. It's a waste of time, right? So, but follow me on this now. As emails get sent to your list, if they don't bounce, they're moving to a different stage where they check for spam. And if they pass spam filters, they enter the inbox. That's called inbox placement. If your bounce rates are low, less than 2%, more of your emails are getting passed to the next stage where they check for spam. If you pass spam checks, more of your emails are getting inbox placement. That means more emails have a chance to be opened and read. That means open rates are high. And if more of them get opened, more clicks go high. You see, so there's a trickle down effect. That's why I said all of this is critical. So bounce rates below 2%, overall inbox placement, emails that enter the inbox and don't get caught up in spam, that should be around 95%. The thing is, there's no way to know spam rates. They don't tell you this information. Gmail doesn't tell you, hey, 50% of your mails went to spam. It's never going to tell you that, right? So there's tools you can use to test this stuff. You send your emails to these dummy email inboxes. They simulate a Gmail or a Yahoo or whatever. And it gives you this kind of spam score. Go look up these tools. There's so many things. It lets you know how well you're doing against spam filters. So that's something to keep in mind as well. This idea of a spam rate, this idea of a bounce rate, all of it matters. Inbox placement, how many of your emails end up in an inbox, all of that matters. Subscriber count, how it changes over time, that matters. Segment size matters. All of this gives you insights as far as list reliability goes and list hygiene. All right, I hope that makes sense. The other thing you want to have is you want to have metrics that give you information about account engagement and targeting, that help you target the right people. So what that helps you is know if your messages are resonating. First of all, it helps, and you always need to know if your messages are resonating, right? Because that's all of that affects, like I said, it has these kind of cascading effects, on open rates and click-through rates. So find out if your messages are resonating. You got to find out who it's resonating with too, because the people it's resonating with the most engaged people, those are likely going to be good leads. So let's say open rates. So your open rates, generally you want to be above 20%. It can shoot much higher, right? But let's talk about open rates over the course of a year. Then it brings the average down. So let's say your average open rate over a course of the year should be around above 20%. Indicates subject lines are good, your messaging is resonating, it's interesting, it's compelling. It also indicates brand familiarity. People are willing to open emails from you particularly, right? So that's what that indicates. So how does the open rate change over time? All of that needs to be monitored. You also want to monitor click-through rates, because that's going to show people, it's going to indicate how much your messaging is influencing behavior. If your body copy is working and your links are trustworthy, they will click it. They will click through and go see what it is on the other side, right? So you want to keep that rate reasonable, because eventually that's going to be the thing that gets you across the line towards the sale, right? How do they click over to booking a call page? Do they click over to a cart page, right? If the click-through rates are good, generally speaking, they're going to be willing to open any link you put in front of them. Yeah, so you want to keep that. What I've heard is like 3% and above is the benchmark. If you're less than 3%, there, you could be doing better. So you got to look at how the subject lines are looking, how the body copy is, what the content is. Is the right content being sent to the right segment? All of this stuff matters. Click-through rate matters there as well. Open rates and click-through rates will indicate top performing content too. So out of everything you send, there'll be a way to sort of establish which type of pieces of content are driving the most clicks. If you send webinar emails to this segment, are they responding well to it? Is it performing well there, or is it performing here? Oh, webinars are performing well with this segment. That's cool. That's good to know, right? So what can you change when you send messaging to this segment, right? All that stuff becomes apparent when you track the open rates and the click-through rates, right? So the thing with open rates and click-through rates is it allows you to identify the most engaging content. When we talk about engaging content, all you get is signals. It's when they open it, that's a signal. When they click it, it's a signal. When they sit and watch a webinar, that's a signal. When they unsubscribe, that's a signal. When they reply to you, that's a signal. So all of these things are signals and you want to kind of see which content is giving you the most engagement, which content is getting the most signals from each account, each prospect, right? So all of this feeds into that. You can track this. One of the coolest way to do it, and this is like a sales thing. They have lead scoring. They have scoring frameworks they come up with. So you can create an engagement scoring scope like system for yourself, right? People get marked 10 points for watching a webinar. People get marked 5 points for downloading a PDF. People get marked 5 points for replying to you, filling a survey. People get minus 10 points if they unsubscribe from you, right? So that in the entire list of all your prospects, that shifts people further along in this kind of scoring framework, and then you get to decide who are the most engaged and who are the least engaged, and that allows you to say, okay, if these are the most engaged people, they're the ones I'm going to kind of put this type of offer in front of. The least engaged people I need to work on more, right? So the content that gives you the most engagement matters. So you need this kind of scoring framework in place, right? And then when you have the scoring framework in place, that's going to allow you to do the next thing, which is improve your lead qualification process. So I hope that makes sense. Let me just quickly recap. Open rates, click-through rates, all of that matters. How is your content performing? How is it doing? Right? And then this kind of account engagement scoring framework needs to be in place, right? All of those are metrics that are going to give you insights. They're going to help you make decisions. So let's move on to lead scoring now. Once you've handled all your engagement metrics, targeting metrics, once you've got all that in place, this is going to now help you improve your lead qualification process as well. But in the lead qualification process, there's certain things you want to measure too. Like, for example, remember I said you want to give people an engagement score. What you ideally want to have is 30% of your prospects demonstrating high engagement, right? Let's say it's a score out of 10, and an engagement score of 8 to 10, right? 30% of your prospects need to be that engaged, because those people scoring 8 to 10 are who you're going to mark as qualified leads, and you're going to send them to your sales team, or you're going to pitch them with a special type of offer, run them through a special type of sequence. So have a benchmark. These are all benchmarks. That scoring model is like you create that. That's how it's what you decide what that scoring framework is, and then say, roughly 30% of every person on of my whole list should score high there. Otherwise, they're disengaged, and that's a problem, right? Because I need 30% of people to actually hand over to my sales team. If this was a traditional environment, that's what the sales team would call. That's what the sales team would call, Mr. So and so. So not only do you have to qualify leads at about 30%, you also want to grow the number of leads. This is a slightly different measurement, slightly different metric, because what it is even if a prospect scores high on engagement and gets passed over to the sales team, let's just say, it's not necessarily true that they're going to buy right away, right? Even though they've shown all the signs. So they might just sit on your list as a contact on your list until they're ready to buy. You can't force their hand, right? You can't move them down the lead qualification process. They're not a prospect anymore. They're actually qualified. They've demonstrated the interest. So you keep them, but they're not buying yet. So what do? You can't sit around waiting for them. You got to continue growing the quantity of qualified leads you have. And how you do that is how you measure month on month how many leads you have in your hand, qualified leads you have in your hand. If you had 100 in January, you want to add let's say another 15-20% more. So you have 115 in February, and then you compound. You add more and you add more and you add more. This kind of it's like a buffer for that time delay between people expressing interest and then purchasing, right? So that's something to consider as well. And then lastly, you also want to track how long it takes to qualify a lead, how long it takes for them to show all the engagement signals so that they become qualified. If it takes 6 months to get somebody from a prospect to a qualified lead, right, in terms of engagement, that sets your benchmark, and then you can maybe reduce that If you can reduce the time it takes, that means there's something in your lead qualification process that's working, and that's very, very good, because that speeds up the sales cycle too. Do you get it? This part's sexy, dude. What a mind fuck this is, dude. Alright, this part's like, I don't know, I find this to be my favorite part, because it's it's just the offer now. So now you've got your leads are qualified. You want to present an offer to them. You've been talking to them over email for I don't know how long. You want to say, hey, do you want to buy my book? And you have to say it in a way that's, you know, it's persuasive, right? Hopefully you've built up trust and authority, and you have persuasiveness set between you and them. So you want to track your offer. You want to understand how well it's doing. You can't just make one offer and present it willy-nilly to everybody, right? If you're really a marketer, you want to know what your segments like to hear, right? You need to present your offer to the segment in the correct way, etc., right? So there's an element of A/B testing involved, and this is more qualitative than quantitative, right? So open rates, click-through rates, engagement scoring, all of that plays into this kind of A/B testing thing. Even subscriber counts, because you have to have 1,000+ people, a minimum, man. It's you can't A/B test on small lists. This is something that was I learned the hard way. It's like, anyway, so you can't A/B test on small lists. You need big lists. So that's one thing. Once you have all that in place, you can A/B test. A/B test the body copy. A/B test the subject lines. A/B test the actual link text. A/B test what it leads to. You know, are you leading them to a free demo or a call? Is that your tactic? Which is working? What's resonating? If you have a segment of C-suite people, let's say, what are they resonating with? You know, which type of time commitment are they willing to give you? You know what I mean? You can test this stuff out. So that's something to consider, right? You can also discover how to repackage your offer because you've been A/B testing. So it's fine. So asking them to just jump right in and book a call with us wasn't working. What was working was they wanted to see a demo video or something. So you can repackage the offer presentation. You can send them to a landing page where there's a demo video, and the demo video leads them to book a call instead of straight jumping. Getting them to jump and book a call right away, right? Stuff like that becomes apparent when you A/B test. So keep that in mind. This is not okay. So this is super cool. It's like obvious. So the cost of acquisition is a big deal in email marketing. The cost of acquisition is generally low, but you want to know what that is. Your cost of acquisition is going to allow you to know a bunch of other things too. I'll give you an example. So first of all, if it costs you $1 to acquire each customer, how long does it take for you to earn that $1 back? So that's like a cost of acquisition payback period, right? So you want to ideally earn that $1 back before the year is out, right? So you know, it's for cash flow issues, right? All the money you're spending on your marketing, you need to make it back, right? So you need to know how long it takes to make that money back. So cost of acquisition is the start of that understanding. How long does it take to make that money back? Your overall total sales and marketing costs, right? That's something to know, right? You also want to know lifetime value of a customer, which is basically the average revenue a customer generates, and the lifespan, the customer lifespan, how long they're with you, whatever that means to you, right? You multiply the two, and you get this thing called a customer lifetime value, right? With the customer lifetime value, what you'll notice is you can either charge people more or let them stay around longer, right? And that's how that it affects that formula. Your customer lifetime value needs to be higher than your cost of acquisition, right? See how that helps you get a bit of insight. If your cost of acquisition, if your customer lifetime value is equal or less than your cost of acquisition, that means people are only staying to buy one thing one time. Barely, right? That means you have no retention. Your retention sucks. So you got to improve your retention. If your retention is good, customer lifetime value will far surpass customer acquisition cost. Healthy indicator. There's other little things that can happen though, like you could have a high customer lifetime value, but you could have a low repeat purchase rate where it's the number of people that buy a second time, third time from you is generally low. What that indicates is that you have a bunch of high ticket purchasers in your list. They're providing the most revenue for you, but in general people aren't buying a second or third time from you. Stuff like that becomes apparent, right? So customer acquisition is really cool. It helps you understand a lot of things. Customer lifetime value too. Generally, they say aim for every $3 for every $1 spent. So it's like a ratio, 3:1, right? So 3:1 lifetime value to customer acquisition ratio, right? And lastly, the other thing you want to kind of look into, this is similar to repeat purchases but not the same. It's this concept of a upsell rate. It's like, cool, after if these prospects have become leads and they've purchased one thing from me, right? How long has it been since they made that purchase? Has it been 6 months? Cool. If it's been 6 months, have I upsold anything to them? If I've upsold nothing to them within 6 months, is that a problem? Do I care? You could say something like, look, I aim to upsell to that person within 6 months, and I want 25% of the people who bought from me one time, I want 25% of them to buy from me a second time. This sets about a whole nother kind of, how do you say, it's a different type of campaign, you know, it's an upsell campaign, and you want to know your upsell rates, right? This is a type of insight you can derive to how well your upsells are doing, right? That's going to directly impact your overall customer lifetime value, right? Stuff to consider, my friends, stuff to consider. Last but not least, you can also derive a different type of metric from let's say qualitative information from running surveys, and this is going to help your retention and advocacy, which is very, very important. The first type of, so you've probably seen this before, the first type of surveys is like on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely would you be to recommend our service, right? Those are scoring frameworks, what they call a net promoter score, right? Because what that would indicate is if the people are marking 9, 10 and less than 6 and stuff, there are certain people that are most likely to recommend you and certain people are less likely to recommend you, right? You need to win those guys back. The people who score 6 and below, that means those accounts, those people, those email addresses, you need to win them back somehow. You need to investigate that because you want retention, you want advocacy to happen. That's going to overall help your growth, right? The people who score 8 and 10 and all that type of stuff, those people are the ones you can pitch to and say, hey, would you like to make a quick post on social media about us? They might just do it. That's freaking boost. You know how much boost that is for free, right? And scale that up, it's insane, right? So you need to have stuff like that in place overall to do this type of marketing well. It's going to help your business, right? The other type of scoring mechanism is like this kind of general customer satisfaction score, where you place the survey after you've gotten them to interact with you, a certain feature of your business. I'll give you an example. Let's say you run them through a cart sequence. They've come, they've purchased something, they've done the whole PayPal, whatever, they've paid for everything. You can send them an email to understand how satisfied were you with this process. When you collect all that data, you get a bit more of a granular sense of which areas in your business the customer is having friction with and which areas in your business the customer is loving it. Yeah, that's gonna, so because the places where they have friction are the places where there's least likely gonna be a cause for churn and customers to drop off, right? Even going back to the net promoter score, all that indicates where you could lose people, and you don't want to lose people because then you don't get that retention money, and then it's a whole problem, right? So placing these kind of surveys after, how do you say, key interactions that they have with you is going to help your overall, how do you say, sales process, your retention, etc., etc. What you want to know is, do they like this feature? Did they like the checkout process? Did they like, did they watch the whole webinar, and did they enjoy the speakers? Do they want other speakers? stuff like that becomes apparent when you're tracking these things. Okay, so I guess what the thing to remember is, when we talk about metrics, it's not just quantitative metrics, it's also qualitative metrics. And the insights that you derive are just generally about human behavior and mood and satisfaction and resonance, right? They're more qualitative, even though what you're measuring is numbers sometimes, right? I believe you can derive so many other things depending on what you measure. It's as you wish, right? But I think this is a great starting point for you to kind of get a sense of how well you're doing when you're running your list, right? So look into all of that. I hope that makes sense. Cool. So what I suggest, if you've got a lot of this stuff in place, or if you haven't got this stuff in place and you want to kind of test things out, optimize, I suggest you give us a call. We work best when business owners have tried some email marketing on their own, and they want to benchmark themselves against people who claim to be really good. We're happy to be that benchmark because we believe we are good. And there's been cases where we've beat in-house teams, man, just straight off of the strength of our copy, right, and the persuasiveness and the execution. So just go into the description. There's a link to a testimonial page. Watch our testimonials, get a sense of who we are, how we've helped people's lives, and then book a call with us. We'll be happy to hear from you. Other than that, drop a comment, say hi, something for the algorithm. You know what it is. Click like again for the algorithm. But that helps you too. You know, it helps find other videos of relevant subject matter for you. And subscribe to stay up to date to with what we're doing. This has been Dropkick Copy on email marketing. Have a great day. Take it easy.